representing the tying run. 2 down in the 9th. And the bat goes flying on the swing and the miss to end the ball game. A very quiet offensive effort by the Red Sox. These last 2, they manage only 4 hits today, and Seattle takes the series 2-1.
Yeah, Garrett really didn't come out sharp, right? Especially with location. Couldn't execute some pitches within counts that got him in trouble early on, and Brian Wu did the rest. But I tell you, offensively for this team and moving forward, they have to figure it out against 95 fastballs plus. Because right now, they're just not catching up to it. Not everybody, but some of these guys, the important guys in this line, in particular Rafi Devers, got to figure that out.
All right, so here we go again with the Red Sox, right back to where we started in many ways. And this is where we're going to begin on the baseball hour, 617-779-0985. We have a full 1-hour program tonight. So a good way to, what's the right word I'm looking for? A good way to just give you a little break before the NFL draft starts. And programming for the draft, by the way, here on 98.5 The Sports Hub begins at 7 p.m. Joe Murray, Alex Barth, together at the Brooks Casino, I think we said, right?
Yes,
Casino.
correct.
Brook Casino in New Hampshire. They'll have you for the balance of the night on the NFL draft. But if you want to talk Red Sox, now is the time to do it. Because since we last spoke, the Red Sox have dropped 2 games to the Seattle Mariners. One last night with Sean Newcomb on the mound. And then, to me, the real sort of shocker, the loss today with Garrett Crochet on the mound. He is your ace. Those are the games you have to win. I can't emphasize this enough. I say it over and over and over again this season, that with the way the Red Sox are constructed, the Garrett Crochet outings are more and more important every time he takes the mound, let alone in the finale of a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners, a team very much like you, by the way, because Seattle has been in that zone between in the playoffs and on the cusp of the playoffs for the last 2 or 3 years. They're a team that is in, I would say, very much in the same class as the Red Sox right now. And so if you're going to be something better than the Mariners, you have to be able to beat the Mariners. It is a measuring sticks kind of series, at least this early in the year. Obviously, we're all thinking a little bit bigger, but you have to walk before you can run. So the series with the Mariners, to me, in a lot of ways, gave the Red Sox a first early season litmus test against a club that is like you. So what are you going to be? And I would tell you that the results today at Fenway Park were not great. 617-779-0985. We'll take your calls, and let me begin by saying this. The Red Sox are now 14-13. These last 2 losses were kind of big. The Red Sox were 14-11 when we spoke yesterday. 14-11. If you win both of those games, you're now 5 games over. You're 16-11. And all of a sudden it feels like 5 games over 500. The prognosis is a lot better. Instead, what do you have? You have another 500 team. Again. And I mentioned this to you last week, last Friday. Last 6 years, Red Sox basically a 500 team. Last 5 years, basically 500. Last 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. Take the sample wherever you want. It comes up 500 pretty much every time. And last year, 81-81, perfectly mediocre. So what did the Red Sox do during the offseason? They went out and added some pitching. They traded for Garrett Crochet. They signed Walker Buehler. They signed Alex Bregman. The idea was to improve the defense, balance out the lineup, and deepen and improve the starting pitching. And they're in the same spot. And they're in the same spot in part because today, Garrett Crochet failed them. Make no mistake about that. He failed them. Their bats went cold again. And defensively, in the early part of this season, I think we can all agree it has been something less than what we expected. So there have been stretches where it's a little bit better. But yesterday at this time, I was telling you that ever since Alex Cora spoke up following that 16-1 loss at Tampa, that the Red Sox had gone 6-1. They should have been 7-0, and they looked like they were playing better. Then in the span of 21 hours, they dropped 2 to the Seattle Mariners, never going to be confused with the 27 Yankees, and they're back to 14-13. And Garrett Crochet in this game gave up 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the second. The Red Sox were down 4-1. They never really recovered. They lost the game 4-3. Now, we've been on the air all day or all afternoon on Felger and Maz. So I need the help of those of you who watched or were at the game to tell me exactly how this all went down. I've certainly read some of the stuff coming out of Fenway Park about the loss, and certainly the last couple of days in the series, but I haven't had a ton of opportunity to really dig into it deeply. But I do know that Alex Cora spoke, Garrett Crochet spoke, so we'll play you some of that sound here right off the top, and I'll take your thoughts on anything and everything. I do also want to get to a story about Lucas Giolito and why he has not pitched. Potentially, the reason being explained in a story by one of our listeners who I call Matt the Stat. Was an auction winner here at the Sports Hub many years ago for money that we raised for Christmas in the City. Came into the studio. He is what I would call an analytics nerd, but an extremely normal one. We described him as a unicorn on the Felger and Maz show because he was a likable nerd. And Matt, the Stat, will not take any offense to me calling him a nerd. He's self-proclaimed. But I will also tell you that he writes for SB Nation. If you haven't read his work there, you should, because he has some very insightful stuff. But first, the postgame from Alex Cora and from Garrett Crochet. Crochet's pitch count in this game got up to, Jimmy Stewart, did he finish at 108 pitches?
110, I believe.
110. Okay, 110 pitches, which is a career high for Crochet. Not a small thing. That's a significant threshold for him to reach. But Alex,
110 pitches, only 65 strikes.
Yeah, he was all over the place. I think he walked 5 guys today and struck out 9.
He did.
So, I'll tell you what, Jimmy. Let's start with this. Let's start with Cora number 5, which feels like an overview on the way they've been playing the last couple of days.
Just as you guys go out on the road, how do you feel about where the team's at right now?
We got 14 wins, right? We're okay, almost playing 500. We can be better, we can be worse. So just go out there to Cleveland and try to win the series.
Okay, so Cora is pretty much in agreement with all of us, or at least with me. 500 team is where they are. It's exactly what they are. And he says we can be better, we can be worse. I would say they should be better, they shouldn't be worse. But we certainly saw them play worse than they have the last couple of days during that stretch of 10 games, which Cora said was consistently bad. The decision to leave Crochet in for 110 pitches. Jimmy, this is Cora number 1, please.
In the beginning. Then after that, he found it. Obviously, the pitch count got up there, but he gave us enough to give us a chance to win. We were down 4-0. We chip in and kept going. And, but early on, Arizona at bat, that was a good one. Just fouling off pitches and ended up with a walk, and then Barber hit a double.
Okay, so again, I thought he was all over the place. And one of the things I'm interested in with Crochet is his pitch selection. In the part of the game that I watched early, for a guy who throws 98, 99, it looked to me like in the early part of the game, he wasn't throwing his fastball enough, which drives me freaking bananas. Guys get 99 in the tank, and he ends up throwing cutters at 91, 92 and leaves him in the middle of the plate? Why? I want the heat, Jimmy Stewart. How would Joe Murray describe that? I want the heat. Give me the big stuff. If you can throw 98, 99, fire away.
Throw the gas, not the ass.
Thank you. What are we doing?
By the way, I sent you the pitch grid for Crochet, which is all over the place. Too many sweepers. Too many sweepers, too many sinkers from Crochet. Not what you're looking for.
Yeah, give me the 4-seam fastball. When the Red Sox...
Let's throw a cutter.
When Andrew Bailey took over the pitching staff, the Red Sox, part of the logic was that fastballs get hit for the most damage in Major League Baseball. So the hardest pitch to do damage on was the breaking ball, or the off-speed pitches, but specifically the breaking balls. Spin it. But he also said all of that with the caveat or the asterisk that there are guys who have exceptional fastballs, and those guys should throw the fastball. Crochet is one of those guys. Throw the freaking fastball. What are you doing? Just one more from Cora, Jimmy.
We're going to trick him, Maz.
So I just don't, when your stuff is
We're going to throw a sweeper and a cutter.
if your stuff is that good, what are you dinking around for?
We're smarter than you, Maz.
Someone once told me a good fastball is still the best pitch in baseball.
No, you're wrong.
So why dink around with that? Why does everybody always have to reinvent everything?
We're smarter than you, Maz. Drive line.
So apparently on the radio broadcast, maybe even on the TV
It was
broadcast.
part of the final call about them hitting $175 against fastballs.
No, so neither, I was saying on the broadcast, neither one of which I was able to hear, that apparently there was some thought that Crochet was having difficulty with the mound at Fenway Park. And so Cora was asked about this. Let's just play this answer, Jimmy, then we'll go to break. Sorry, number 7. I should have said that.
With Crochet, was there any issues with the mound or not being comfortable?
No.
Okay, well, that was quick. I thought it was a longer answer than that. So Cora says no problems with the mound.
No.
I am also interested in what Garrett Crochet said after the game, because he is I will say, in some ways, refreshingly introspective. Crochet is a very thoughtful guy in the little bit that I've heard of him here in the preseason. I'm sure I'll get sick of the thoughtful responses. And especially if he continues to make what I would call dumb mistakes today, go with your best stuff. Lose with your best. Don't lose with something less than that. Brian from Braintree's on the line, too. We'll get to him. He was at the game today, and we'll play you Crochet when we come back.
Throw the gas, not the ass.
right center field. Abreu taking off after that. That one way back there, and that ball is gone. Crawford with his first home run of the season. And no Houdini in this inning. And that makes it 4-0 Seattle. A 3-run homer by Crawford.
He's been flirting with it all game. You know, traffic all game long here for Sean. And he just left that slurve that's been really good for him, but this inning not so much. He hung one to Williamson with a ball down that line for the single, and then Crawford picks him up. The first home run he's given up this year. It's only the 4th extra base hit Sean has given up.
A lot of base runners, though.
Just a hanging slurve.
Which is hard to do, by the way. He's a defensive player. I want to say he's had under 10 home runs the last 2 years. He had 1 year, I think, where he hit, 16 home runs with the Mariners. The last couple of years, I think, combined, he has about 12 or 13 home runs. One of those years, I think he had 4. Something like that. So not a power hitter. You give up a home run to him. And I think the Red Sox overthink their pitching philosophy, and this really gets into Crochet in particular. Crochet in the second inning today. Okay, now in the first inning, you're against the top of the lineup, so I get it. It's the better hitters in the lineup. His final pitch in the series of at-bats that helped produce 2 runs for the Mariners were a 4-seam fastball for a single. Then he got 2 strikeouts, 1 on a cutter, 1 on a changeup. One of those guys was Julio Rodriguez as well, who's an excellent player, even if he's not hitting the ball particularly well early in the year. Randy Arozarena came up, gave him a good at-bat, 9-pitch walk. Then a double on a fastball and a ground out to get out of the inning. But now he's into the bottom of the lineup, and the damage to me felt like it was done against cutter, sweeper, off-speed pitches. Now all of a sudden the game is 4-1 after you just closed it to 2-1, and now again you're chasing right uphill with your ace on the mound. So I want to get to Crochet's comments about why he approached it the way he did. And we have a bit of a busy show tonight as well. So I want to get to those. And we also have to do Trivia Tuesday on Thursday this week because of the Celtics game, what have you. Jared Carabas had to change his schedule. It's been a little bit of a fire drill in terms of our schedule. So the trivia will be in the next segment. We'll give away a golf gas card. In the interim, I want to take your phone calls, and I want to get to what Garrett Crochet said about his own performance. Brian's in Braintree. Go ahead, Brian. What do you got?
Hey, Maz. Listen, I wasn't at the game last night. I was actually watching your thing on the draft today, but I kept switching back. Their starting pitcher had at least in the 5th inning, he had like 9 strikeouts. It was pathetic on the Red Sox. And that was the main thing. They couldn't hit. They had bases loaded, the other team, and our pitcher threw a pitch in the dirt, and they had a swing, and they called it an out with bases loaded.
Okay, Brian, thank you for the call. Look, here's what I'll tell you. The Red Sox struck out 12 more times today. The Mariners struck out 13 times. So some of this is the way the game is played now. But I will tell you that it feels like a relapse for the Red Sox. That every time they start to get a little momentum and they start to play well, inevitably they revert. I don't think they made an error today. In fact, the box score says they did not. So it was hard for me to really assess their defense because, again, when we're on the air, it's just I can only do one thing at a time, Jimmy. I'm an idiot.
I think Campbell had an issue in center field today.
So I'm a simpleton. I can only do one thing at a time. I'm not joking about this. My wife will tell you this. My mind cannot do 2 things at once. So, but they struck out 12 more times, and it does feel like they kind of relapsed into what they've been here in the early part of the year. So they strike out a ton. The starting pitching is supposed to be better than it is. Houck wasn't good enough. Crochet, to me, they're 4-2 now when he starts, which is overall is fine. If they win 2 out of every 3, they should be okay. Houck's been a big disappointment. Buehler has been better the last 2 or 3, but the first couple or few, he wasn't great. So overall, I would say average. And they got to get some stability at the end of the rotation, which I want to get to as well. Steve in Andover. Steve, what do you got?
Hi, Tony. How you doing? I understand what the ace of the staff's supposed to do, but even the ace of the staff now and then has to be bailed out a little bit by the offense. I mean, he gave up early runs, yes, but you had the whole game, though. I mean, they couldn't help him out a little bit.
So Steve, you know what? I'm the opposite when it comes to this. You pay the ace to win without runs. That's what you pay him for. That's the reason you get him. So that it really doesn't matter how many runs you score. You win the game when he pitches. The defense is better. There are fewer balls in play. And when he digs you into a 4-1 hole, it gets a hell of a lot easier for the other guy. And can I tell you, just as a side, the kid who pitched for the Mariners today, his name is Brian Wu. He grew up in California. I think he was a 6th-round draft pick. Boy, can the Mariners evaluate pitchers. Holy crap, can they pump them out one after the other. So this is the team the Red Sox wanted to make a deal with during the offseason, maybe to get one of their pitchers, give up Tristan Casas. Seattle resisted. I don't know if the Mariners have enough offense to win. We'll see. To me, sooner or later, they're going to have to deal with somebody to prove their offense. But Wu went 6 innings, struck out 8. I saw some nasty sliders that he threw in this game. They can freaking pump them out. However, whatever the Mariners are doing to develop pitching, and I know they're in a big ballpark, but whatever they're doing, replicate it. Figure it out, replicate it. Because their pitching staff, to me, is one guy after the next throwing bullets. And their relievers throw bullets, too. So I want Seattle's pitching staff. That's what I want. Let's go to Eric and Reading quickly. Eric, what do you got?
Maz, I loathe Driveline. You're trying to shoehorn everybody in there. I think if they had a young Wade Boggs, they would ruin him, trying to make him a power hitter instead of the 200-plus hits, 350 OBP machine he was. Not everyone needs to slug like Aaron Judge. Have a guy like Rafaela be a number 9 hitter, slap singles in the outfield, try and tattoo the wall with doubles. Please, just go with what people are naturally inclined to be. Thanks.
So, Eric, again, you can go off on Driveline. I'm not going to stop you. I hate the general approach and the philosophy that, the way the game is played now from the offensive side. And I'm not going to defend the Red Sox on this. The only thing I will tell you, though, is that I think this is a game-wide problem. The nerds have taken over offense, or they're trying to. And the approach is totally ass backwards. You want to tell me that analytics can work in pitching and that the pitching has been weaponized by analytics? My answer is yes. I think it has worked. With hitting, it hasn't. And for me, it's a very simple thing. Pitching is proactive. You control the game. Hitting is reactive. The way to hit, oftentimes, is to take what the pitcher gives you. That's what you have to do to be successful a higher percentage of the time. So the idea of swinging for home runs all the time might work against bad pitching or mistakes, but it's tough to score consistently when you do that. And I think consistency is what wins. We'll get to Trivia Tuesday, Thursday edition, when we come back, and I still want to get to those Crochet comments all in the baseball hour.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Speculation, arm length, all that fun stuff. It ends tonight as the 2025 NFL Draft gets underway in Green Bay in about
Trivia. Tuesdays are for trivia. Maz has baseball trivia. It's time for you to win some stuff.
I know what you're thinking. Why would we play that on a Thursday? Well, because everything about this week has been asked backwards. So Patriots Day Monday kind of screwed up everything. Threw me off. Then Jared Carabas had to switch from Wednesday to Tuesday because his dad's turning 70 years old and they're flying to London. Family trip, which I encourage. But as a result, we really couldn't do trivia on Tuesday while Carabas was here. It'd be a poor use of Carabas' time. Last night was a short show because the Celtics played. So we didn't want to wedge it into tomorrow. The Red Sox have now played 2 games that we have to catch up on, and this is the last full show because we have another short show tomorrow. So we're doing it on Thursday.
And Milliken's on tomorrow's show, so words are at a premium. Correct.
Milliken, that's right. A Roundtable Friday is now a half-hour show. It won't be a roundtable because McCarthy can't be here. But anyway, this is a long way of telling you that this has been a very chaotic week here on the Baseball Hour. In fact, I would say it's been a chaotic week in general. But quickly, Trivia Tuesday presented by Gulf. You can win a $50 gas card from Gulf to fuel your way to Fenway. Here's how it works. Call the contest line, which is 617-931-0985. We'll take 2 callers. We'll ask the first one a question. If that person gets it right, they win the gift card. If not, we go to the second person. If neither one gets it right, we'll put 2 more up there. We'll try 2 more times, and if we still don't have a winner, then no gift card. We'll go to next week. We can't just be popping questions out there all night long and waiting for someone to get it right because we all know that might never happen. So 617-931-0985. We'll take caller number 1 and then potentially caller number 2 to trivia questions that I have written. They are pretty simple for the most part, so long as you're a baseball fan and follow the Red Sox. We want to give these gift cards away. But you have to call the contest line, 617-931-0985. In the interim, Dalton and Dedham. Whoa. That's not going to work. Dalton and Dedham on the Red Sox pitching staff said he wanted to talk about the pitching staff. But it sounds like he has us on hold. So while we're waiting, I do want to get to Garrett Crochet and some of the things he said about his own performance. So, Jimmy, if we could play Crochet number 1 about the way he was pitching today, because, again, I would like to see more power from Crochet. I think at the end of the day, 45% of his pitches were 4-seam fastballs, which is a good number in this day and age. But I still feel like he should be throwing his fastball more than 50% of the time. And it felt to me like early in the game, particularly against the bottom of the order, that he was throwing way too much, what I would call for him, junk, off speed, low 90s, when he can get to 97, 98. But anyway, here's Crochet number 1, Jimmy.
I think just pitching passively, I've been talking about in my past couple pressers, like getting to the glove side, and it became something where I was trying to pitch instead of just throw, I'm always been a bit of a thrower, which is just who I am. Once I kind of started getting back to my roots and just being a power pitcher later in the game, the walks were still there, but I was at least able to get guys out.
Okay, so I can already tell you what's bugging me about Crochet in the early part of the year. He overthinks everything. This guy, and again, he's thoughtful, introspective. What that can lead to is overthinking. Stop thinking. So it's important for him to recognize what kind of pitcher he is. If he's a thrower, as he said, throw. I felt this way about Chris Sale. Chris Sale was not one of these guys who could live on the corners. You know why Chris Sale got people out? Because his stuff was explosive. Because he could throw 96 up in the zone and put people on their heels and then throw a slider down at their ankles, and they were so off balance by then, they were falling all over the place. Crochet to me is a similar kind of animal. I don't think he throws a lot of strikes overall. He usually doesn't walk many people, but the way he gets people out is to overpower them. So you know what? Don't pitch like a finesse guy. As Joe Murray would say, throw the gas, not the ass.
Throw the gas, not the ass.
Pretty simple concept. Part of sports is overpowering people. When you have the power to overpower the opposition, overpower them. Now, that said, let me go to the contestants for the Gulf Gas Card. Our first contestant is Alex in Peabody. Alex, are you there?
Hey, what's up, Maz?
Okay. You ready for the first question?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. And you're going to be on a clock to answer, so don't cheat. Don't go looking for the answers on your phone.
All right, I got you.
Okay. Kenley Jansen led the Red Sox with 27 saves last season. What team is he pitching for now?
The Los Angeles Angels.
Very good. Very good. Stay on the line. Don't go anywhere. We'll get you information. We'll get that gas card out to you in the mail. Jonathan from Norwood is online too. You can hang up. Our apologies. Thank you for calling in. I thought that was going to be a tricky question because I'm not sure anybody knew where Kenley Jansen ended up. Jimmy, did you know it was the Angels?
I did, but I was hoping the answer was actually retired because he sucked for the Red Sox.
Yeah, you're not alone. I think he wants 400 or 500 career saves. He's already got 400, right? He got 400 with the Red Sox.
Proving the save stat useless.
Well, so I think so too, Jimmy. Jansen is not necessarily the guy that I would want in a big situation in the postseason, and that to me is how I sort of evaluate a Hall of Fame closer. I know it's not fair, but I think saves in and of themselves, there are lots of mediocre closers who can pile up a crap ton of saves, and it's a relatively worthless statistic. Let's go back to the calls. Nick is in Arizona on the Red Sox. Or Jimmy, I'm frozen, so maybe you can punch him up on line 2. Nick wants to talk about the Red Sox offense. Nick, are you there?
Hey, Maz. How you guys doing today?
Good. What do you got?
Well, the offense today, I mean, you got 2 home runs. I mean, I'm not going to complain about some big shots right there, but I mean, the real strength is getting on base and putting pressure on the defense and the pitcher right now. I mean, you just got to think they got to keep with Brian Wu. He's blowing, like you said, if the guy's blowing 96, 97 by a guy, he's going to have success, especially against the Sox, lineup that strikes out a lot. Like, you wish these guys would just kind of stick to just put the bat on the ball, put the ball in play, and just see what happens. You know what I mean?
So, Nick, look, one of the things I'm interested in seeing, Jimmy, you can drop him because, again, I'm frozen up here. But one of the things I would love to see is the number of at-bats the Red Sox have had. And let me see if I can punch it up while we're doing this. The number of hits the Red Sox have had with runners in scoring position relative to other teams. Because if the number is high, and Cora was talking about this early in the year, and it is certainly worth mentioning, now that all teams are coming in right around 25 games, the Red Sox have played 27. But if you look at the number of at-bats with runners in scoring position, the Red Sox have had 259, which is third most in the game. So the point is that they are putting men in the position to drive in runs. Unfortunately, they're hitting 239 in those situations, which to me is, well, let's see where that ranks. That ranks 19th in baseball. So there's certainly a discrepancy there. And if we look at the strikeouts in those situations, and again, these are just in men in scoring position, they're number 1 in strikeouts. So they have 19th batting average. They've had the third most at bats in the game with men in scoring position. They rank first in strikeouts in those situations and 19th in batting average. So the point is, when opponents have to bear down, they're striking your ass out. My question would be why? And I think in part it's because your approach sucks in those situations. They know how to pitch you. Some of it is the DNA of the hitters. And this is the part that concerns me. If you have guys that are prone to strike out, Trevor Story struck out on a slider off the plate today. Well, I think he missed the ball by a foot. And not only did he miss it by a foot, I don't think he ever really tried to reach for the ball. He basically decided he was going to look for a breaking ball or fastball in the inner part of the plate, And he was so far out in front of it, and he was so stood up in his stance that he had no chance of covering the outside corner. And he struck out easily. I think the opposition knows that. Now, again, at bats with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. I've called this in the past the equivalent of third down in the NFL. The Red Sox have the second most at bats in baseball. They are hitting an even worse 202, which ranks, 20th in the major leagues. And their strikeouts, 42, also first. So they're getting men in position to score. They just can't execute the at-bats. That has to get fixed, or they're porked. 617-779-0985. We'll wrap it up with your calls and play a little more for you from Garrett Crochet when we come back.
learning curve, I guess. The league
Yeah.
obviously knows you that much better and all that.
Right. Yeah, it's still very similar to what I saw last year. I think that sometimes I give a little too much credit and start to overthink my sequencing and get away from the four seam. When then, the third, fourth, and fifth, I started throwing the four seam a little bit more, or at least in my mind, it was a little bit more. I don't know the splits, but I have success with it. That's what got me to the big leagues, and that's, what helped me make a name for myself last year. No reason to get away from that, even if they know what's coming. I was talking to Tanner about that on the bench. It's, this last couple innings when it was mano-a-mano, that's kind of when I'm at my best. Still missing bats with it, even though it was in a fastball counts for the most part, throwing 3, 4, 5 in a row, doesn't matter. Just kind of got to get back to that mentality. It was, just referencing, how I was not happy with the success that I was having, feeling like, I had work to do. That was the wrong approach to have. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. And, for me today, it's just kind of getting back to who I am, and that's just filling up the zone, throwing fastballs middle, and if you hit it, you hit it. It's a lot better than trying to place one on the inner rail and leaving it out over and giving up an extra base hit like I did in the second inning.
Hallelujah. Light dawns over Marblehead. This is exactly what I'm saying. And again, in the little bit that I saw of this game early today, it felt to me like Crochet was trying to be too cute. He was getting beat on cutters and changeups at the bottom of the batting order, particularly in the bottom of the order. You want to tell me you go up against a good hitter and you've got to mix it up a little bit? No problem. I get it. Got to do that against the good hitters because they can figure it out. So you got to mix it. But against the guys on the lower half of the lineup, blow them out of there. You're better than they are. So
throw the gas, not the ass.
Exactly, Joe Murray. Thank you, Jimmy Stewart. Exactly. When you throw a fastball the way that Crochet does, what are you dinking around for? Here's the other thing, just quickly. I want to try to squeeze in these calls. The Crochet only has, he doesn't have much time as a starter. So this idea that he is some sort of master craftsman at pitching, he hasn't had enough time. He's going to have to learn that on the fly. In the interim, blow people away, win some games. You got a good team around you. Pitch as far as you can, and you'll do well just blowing people away. Win the games. Work on the stuff when you get big leads. Dalton and Dedham on the Red Sox pitching. Yeah, Dalton.
Hey, guys, how we doing?
Good. What do you got?
Hey, Tony, so it's funny. I know that in the beginning of the year you had that take on Chapman. You were like, when the Mad Dog thing, you were saying that guy stinks from him, and you were like, yeah, I think he's going to stink too. He's been a pleasant surprise. I'm actually very happy with what the Red Sox got him. And also, and we're getting Liam Hendricks back next week, which is going to be very crucial to the Red Sox. We don't know what we're going to get from him, but I think he's going to be a 7-8 guy. And also,
Dalton, I'm going to stop you there just because I want to squeeze in one more call. Hendricks is already back. He looked like garbage in his first outing. He got tattooed, but it's been a little bit better since. And I agree with you on Chapman. I too have been pleasantly surprised. Absolutely. Adam in Pawtucket, quickly on Crochet. Go ahead.
How's it going, Maz? Hey, real quick. So after the post games, I don't know if you noticed, but I've noticed people have been saying, or Crochet has been saying also, like, hey, like I'm not living up to what the standards are, and he's always trying to pitch for the strikeout. I feel like he's in his head, like you said. I don't know. I just wanted to build off your take earlier. I feel like he's in his head too much a little bit, and I don't know. I just wanted to hear what your thoughts are, because I think that he actually is.
Yeah, so Adam, I just think that this is a guy who, again, hasn't had a lot of development as a starting pitcher. He was a reliever when he came up. He had some time in there he lost to injury. Last year was his first year as a starter, and he was dominant, overpowering. So now the Red Sox have traded for him. They've signed him, and he wants to go deeper into games. I'm sure it's going through his head of, okay, I got to get some easy outs. I got to go throw more two-seamers, sweepers, cutters, change-ups, and I like all that stuff too at the right place. In the meantime, you throw 99. So throw 99. Throw some sliders, throw some cutters. You can't throw it on every pitch. I get it. But if you back off hitters with your fastball, all your other stuff will get better. And right now, this guy is a thrower. He's a thrower. Maybe he'll develop into a pitcher. I would say at this stage, unlikely, but fire away. Joe Murray and Alex Barth coming up next at the Brook Casino in New Hampshire. They'll have you here on draft night. Our coverage starts now on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Patriots have the number 4 pick in the draft. Kevin Majori's got your headlines. Enjoy the draft. We'll catch you tomorrow.